BOGO Bo flexes out.
Never before have so many children and youth crowded into our class.
Now all that's between you and your Coke is
13 crazy everyday things from the 1960s. You won't believe these. Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today in this video, we're going to dig up 13 everyday things from the 1960s that might make you say, whoa, far out from surprise. We'll uncover some truly bizarre and maybe even useful gadgets people used back then, from fashion and technology to entertainment and beyond. So if you're curious about the weird and wonderful world of the 1960s, then hit that subscribe button and make sure you watch the video till the end. Let's get started.
Commercial time on the first half hour of all the network talk shows tonight.
Number 13, indoor smoking everywhere. In the 1960s, cigarettes were incredibly common. Back then, lighting up wasn't just socially acceptable, it was everywhere. Here, you walked into a restaurant and are greeted by a cloud of smoke instead of the delicious aroma of food. People smoked on airplanes, in offices, and even in hospitals. Believe it or not, ashtrays were a must on coffee tables and desks. There wasn't much awareness about the dangers of smoking back then. Cigarettes were even advertised as cool and relaxing. However, things started to change in the late 1960s and 1970s. Scientific studies began to reveal harmful effects of smoking, causing a shift in public opinion. Doctors started speaking out about the link between smoking and lung cancer, heart disease, and other health problems. This new information sparked a movement towards smoke-free environments. Airlines were among the first to ban smoking on flights in the 1970s. Workplaces gradually followed suit, with designated smoking areas becoming the norm and eventually disappearing altogether. Restaurants implemented non-smoking sections, which eventually became entirely smoke-free zones. Number 12, no seatbelts in cars. Back in the 1960s, seatbelts weren't the standard safety feature they are today. Cars did have lap belts in some models, but they weren't mandatory, and many people just didn't use them. This might seem crazy to us now, but car safety wasn't as big of a concern in the 1960s. Cars weren't built as strongly, and speed limits were generally lower. However, as cars got faster and road accidents became more common, the conversation around safety shifted. Doctors began to see the devastating injuries caused by people being thrown from vehicles and crashes. The turning point came in the late 1960s and early 70s. Public awareness campaigns highlighted the dangers of not wearing a seatbelt, and laws started being passed making them mandatory. Today, buckling up is second nature to most of us, but it's a good reminder of how car safety has come a long way in a relatively short amount of time. Number 11, payphones with phone books. Payphones were lifelines for making calls on the go. But how did you find the number you needed? That's where phone books came in. These massive notebooks, often chained to the payphone itself, listed phone numbers for homes and businesses all across town. Phone books were a necessity because there were far fewer phones overall. Most people didn't have a phone at home, so payphones were crucial for staying connected. But as technology moved forward, so did our ability to connect. The rise of mobile phones in the late 1990s and early 2000s made payphones much less common. Now, with everyone carrying a personal phone with all the contacts in their pocket, the need for giant phone books faded. It's rare to find a payphone with a phone book connected these days, but it's a reminder of how quickly technology can change the way we communicate and access information. Coming up next,
tunes on the same violin at the same time.
Number 10, record players and vinyl records. Well, in the 1960s, the king of music wasn't the shiny disc, but the good old vinyl record. These flat discs held entire albums of music and were played on a record player, a machine with a spinning platter and a special arm with a needle. Vinyl records were everywhere in the 1960s. People would browse record stores, pick out their favorite, and take them home to blast down their record players. The sound quality was warm and rich, and there was something satisfying about holding the physical album and reading the liner notes. By the 1980s, the cassette tape had emerged. Cassettes were smaller, easier to carry around, and allowed people to record their music playlist. This convenience slowly chipped away at vinyl's dominance. However, vinyl has recently made a surprising comeback. Many people appreciate the unique sound quality and the ritual of listening to an entire album from start to finish. So while vinyl may not be the most convenient way to listen to music anymore, it's loved by those who appreciate its nostalgic charm and superior audio experience. If you have the option for both, would you listen to a vinyl record or do you prefer digital music? Let us know in the comments below. And on to number 9, we have printed maps. These paper maps were folded out into giant sheets and filled with colorful symbols representing roads, rivers, and landmarks. Finding your way involves studying the legend, which would be the key that explains the symbols on the map and tracing your finger along the route. Printed maps were incredibly popular throughout the 1960s because road trips were a big part of the era's culture, and families would plan their journeys using these paper guides. They were also essential for hikers, campers, and anyone venturing off the beaten path. However, with the rise of GPS technology in the late 20th century, printed maps slowly began to disappear. The convenience of digital maps just couldn't be beat. However, there's a certain charm and satisfaction in navigating with a physical map, a skill worth keeping alive. Number 8, using encyclopedia. Back in the 1960s, if you had a burning question about dinosaurs, the capital of France, or how to build a model rocket, you wouldn't whip out your phone. Instead, you'd open an encyclopedia. These were massive sets of books, sometimes reaching up to 20 volumes, filled with information on pretty much everything under the sun. Each volume would cover a different letter or topic. To find what you were looking for, you'd consult the index, a giant list at the back of each volume that pointed you to the exact page with the information you craved. Encyclopedias were necessary in many homes during the 1960s. Families would often buy them in installments. Salespeople would even visit houses to convince families how important it was to have this wealth of knowledge at their fingertips. But with the rise of the internet in the late 20th century, encyclopedias slowly became a thing of the past. While some families still hold on to their encyclopedia sets for nostalgic reasons, these days, most people rely on vast resources of the internet for their research needs. Moving on, number 7, go-go boots. Let's talk about footwear that made a statement, go-go boots. These were knee-high or mid-calf boots made of shiny vinyl or patent leather that came in a range of colors and often had a chunky platform sole or a stacked heel. They were vital at dance clubs in the 1960s, perfectly suited for the energetic go-go dancing craze. But like most fashion trends, go-go boots eventually took a backseat. As the 1970s rolled in, styles shifted towards a more relaxed and earthy vibe. People started favoring boots made from natural materials like suede or leather, and platform soles became less popular. Number 6 might surprise you, avocado green. Back in the 1960s, there was a major trend for the color avocado green. We're not talking about just a splash here and there. We're talking about appliances, furniture, and even walls. Kitchens were graced with avocado green stoves, refrigerators, and counters. Living rooms sported avocado green couches, armchairs, and shag carpets. This love affair with avocado green wasn't just about aesthetics. It reflected a belief in progress and modernity. Avocado green was seen as a fresh, clean color that symbolized a new era. But trends, as they do, eventually change. By the late 1970s, avocado green started to feel dated. People craved warmer tones and more natural textures. The bold green became seen as a bit too much. Avocado green appliances were slowly replaced by sleeker stainless steel options, and furniture stores saw a shift towards earth tones and browns. Today, avocado green is making a bit of a comeback. Vintage furniture enthusiasts appreciate the unique style of the 1960s, and some modern designers are even incorporating the color into their work with a fresh twist. Did you have anything in the shade of avocado green in your home or your grandparents' home? Share with us in the comments below. Let's see how many people have seen this iconic era. Continuing to number 5, writing letters. In the 1960s, before the age of instant messaging and social media, people relied on a much slower but more personal way of communicating, writing letters. Letters were used for everything from catching up with loved ones who lived far away to sending birthday wishes or even conducting business. People would wait eagerly for the mail to arrive, hoping to find a handwritten note from a friend or family member. But how did these letters get delivered? Back then, mail carriers would walk or ride bicycles along designated routes, stopping at each house to deliver the mail directly to a mailbox. The trend started to decline with the invention of the telephone in the late 19th century. However, letter writing still holds a special charm. Unlike an email, A handwritten letter is a tangible object you can hold on to, a physical reminder of a specific moment of time and the emotions behind the words. Even today, some people still choose to write letters for special occasions or to express themselves in a more personal way. Number 4, tiki culture. Ever heard of a tiki bar? In the 1960s, these were super popular. It was a restaurant themed like a tropical island, complete with bamboo furniture, palm trees, and even carved wooden statues called tikis. These tiki bars were all about a world of sunshine and fruity drinks. They served exotic cocktails with fun names like Mai Tai and Blue Hawaiian, often in crazy mugs shaped like volcanoes or parrots. It had a whole vibe. But where did tiki culture come from? It all started in the 1930s in California. Back then, people were fascinated with Polynesian culture and Hollywood movies that portrayed these islands as paradise. So some clever restaurant owners decided to create a whole experience around this tropical fantasy. Tiki bars became super trendy, especially after World War II, when people were looking for ways to relax and have fun. However, by the 1970s, the craze started to go down. The decor started to feel a little outdated, and people's tastes in food and drinks changed. Tiki bars were less common, and the whole tropical island theme wasn't quite as exciting anymore. So even though it isn't super popular forever, tiki culture left its mark on 1960s society. Number 3, playing with Barbie. Let's move on to something a little more playful. In the 1960s, a new kind of doll took the kids' world by storm. Barbie. Barbie was a fashion icon with a slim figure and a closet full of stylish outfits. Kids loved dressing her up in everything from swimsuits to astronaut suits. She came with a variety of accessories too, like tiny furniture, cars, and even a dream house. Barbie quickly became a pop culture phenomenon. However, over time, some people started to criticize the unrealistic body proportions that Barbie portrayed. There was a growing desire for toys that reflected a wider range of body types and ethnicities. Today, Barbie is still around, but she's changed a lot. Now she comes in a variety of skin tones, hair colors, and body shapes. She even has different careers, from doctor to firefighter. This reflects a shift in how we think about dolls and messages they send to children. Number 2, TV dinners. Let's talk about TV dinners. These were aluminum trays filled with compartments, holding individual portions of a main course like fried chicken or Salisbury steak, along with some veggies and maybe a dessert. The idea was simple. Pop the whole thing in the oven, and in about 30 minutes, dinner was ready while you watched your favorite show on TV. TV dinners became a huge hit in the 1950s. More and more women are entering the workforce, and families want convenient meal options. Swanson, a frozen food company, gets most of the credit for popularizing them. Their catchy ads featuring happy families enjoying TV dinners in front of the TV help solidify the concept. But were they gourmet meals? Not exactly. They weren't known for their culinary brilliance, but they were a lifesaver for busy families. However, by the 1970s, people had become more healthy conscious, and the quality of frozen food wasn't great. Fast food restaurants also began to take off, offering a quicker and arguably tastier alternative. Today, TV dinners are still around, but they're not nearly as popular as they once were. On the top of the list, we have Pogo Stick. In the 1960s, the Pogo Stick was all the rage. It looked like a tall stick with handlebars and springy footrest at the bottom. Kids and even some adults would jump on it, pushing down on the handles and using their legs to compress the spring. The spring would then launch them back up, allowing them to hop around like human pogo sticks. So, why were pogo sticks so popular in the 1960s? Well, back then, kids didn't have all the fancy electronics and video games we have today. Pogo sticks offered a fun and active way to play outdoors, helping kids burn off energy and develop their coordination. However, pogo sticks eventually started to lose their shine. As the years went by, new and exciting toys hit the market, grabbing the attention of younger generations. Pogo sticks are still around today, but they're not quite the must-have toy they once were. And there you have it, 13 crazy everyday things from the 1960s that you won't believe existed. We hope you enjoyed this journey back in time and learned something new along the way. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating content from decades past. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care and goodbye.